Hello and welcome back to our study of Peninei Halacha, the teachings of Rabbi Eliezer Melamed, Shlita. Continuing along midweek, hope everyone's Pesach preparations are going well. Just a reminder that you can access our previous episodes on the meaning of Pesach and on Leil HaSeder. Just search back and you'll find from previous year and beyond. We continue learning davening for Charlei Tzvagana Yisrael, or for Shalema, those who need it, safe return of all of our hostages, and we dedicate our learning in memory of Le'ili Nishmas, Seren Daniel Shema Ben Harav Daron V'Sheli Hashem Yekum Damo. Next chapter, Mitzvahs Macha. Adam she'osam ava l'chavero, tzorich limchos biad oseh ha'avla. U'shtei mitzvahs bezeh. If you see someone who's doing something wrong to someone else, you have to say something, you have to stand up against the one who's doing wrong, and there are two mitzvahs involved here. So Harishona, the first is so as we've learned that you can't stand by the blood of your brother, this means that you have to save an evildoer from doing evil. HaMitzvah Shnia, the second, is to give warning or to rebuke the sinner, to hopefully prevent him from sinning, or at least to express an opposition to this evil act. And this rebuke against the sin does not stem from hatred, but it's just the opposite. It's because you have a sense of love and responsibility towards your fellow Jew. So just like we have a mitzvah to save your friend from monetary loss, we also want to save his soul from sin. If you look at the juxtaposition of the verses in Vayikra, which we'll read shortly in a few weeks, you cannot hate your brother in your heart. You have to rebuke your fellow. You shall not bear sin. And then it says, and you shall love your neighbor like thyself. And also think back to when we did the series on Ben Adam L'Chavero a number of months ago. And someone who could have spoken up and didn't do so, or could have protested and didn't do so. So it's so serious is this mitzvah that if you don't rebuke when you're supposed to, if you don't speak up or protest when you're supposed to, it's as if you have committed that sin. And the rabbis tell us, Gemara in Shabbos says, anyone who can speak up against the people of his household and he doesn't do so, so then he is held accountable. So if it's for your household, you're responsible for what happens in your household. If it's for the people of your city, you're responsible for your city. For the whole entire world, nisbas al kol ha'olam kulo, then you are going to be held responsible for what happens in the whole world. So let's talk specifically someone who has connections to people of rulership, people in government. Specifically, you have to speak out in a time when they are conducting themselves in an evil way, and they are abusing their power to overtake the weak. And this is what we have the saying of Rav Papa, those who were very close to the exarch, the rulership structure at the time, that they were swept up and they were held responsible for the sins of the Reish Galusa and those in his house. Reish Galusa haYirosh Yehudi Agola, the exarch was the head of the Jewish community in the Gola, Shemer Kazah haya beBavel, because the centrality of it was in Babylonia. Kach Shiltonei Rav nitem biyadom eisa shilton haprasi b'kocho shel Reish Galusa haYilamnus anashim l'tafkidim b'chirim l'patram. The power of this rulership was given, let's say Rav was given in his hand from the Parsi, from the Persian rulership, and it was again in the power and under the rubric of the Reish Galusa, he had the ability to appoint people to positions or to fire them. To give contracts or to take them away. L'chalek es netel hamas k'vi avanasa, or to levy taxes. V'alkach amar Rav Papa, shebnei beiso shel reish galusa nitzvasim b'avon kol ha'olam, they should be yadam yesh koch limchos b'yad achotim. And the Gemara in Shabbos says that Rav Papa spoke out that the people in the house of the reish galusa who were acting in a corrupt manner are held responsible for the entire world because they had the ability to speak up and to protest, and they didn't do so. I've always said that sometimes the Jews' favorite mitzvah is hochech tochichas hamisecha. We love to point out others' mistakes. We'll get to that in a little bit more, but in this context, we'll continue this next time. One has to give macha, one has to protest because you're doing so for the right reasons. So there's a lot to be said here. Sometimes people like to yell and scream for no reason, but there has to be a purpose to it, and we'll, again, examine that as we go along. But in the meantime, please continue davening for Chalei Tzva Gana Yisrael, Refuah Yisrael, safe return of our hostages, and do a mitzvah, Lili Nishmas, Saren Daniel Shema Ben Harav, Daron Visheli Hashem Yikum Damo. Thank you for listening, and we will see you here next time. Have a great day.